Chosen one, this message is not for everyone. If someone is here out of curiosity, without walking the divine path, without carrying the mark of the Most High on their spirit, they should leave right now. Only those who feel that quiet pull from heaven, only those who know deep inside that their life has never been normal should continue. You who are still here, you are here because God intended it. This message found you at the exact moment it was supposed to. Nothing about your arrival is random. Chosen one, what you saw recently was not ordinary. It was not a coincidence, not imagination, and not something your mind created out of emotion. It was a sign, a spiritual signal sent directly to you because heaven has reached a final decision concerning your destiny. And that decision carries a weight so powerful that it will change the direction of your life. Your spirit already knows something is shifting in the unseen realm. And by the time you finish this message, you will understand exactly what that shift means. Before we move deeper, I want you to respond spiritually. Comment the number that your spirit aligns with right now, 999. And if you have not already, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell icon, and share this message with another chosen soul who needs this revelation today. The sign only the chosen one noticed. Chosen one, you need to understand something very clearly. God does not reveal divine signals to everyone. There are moments when heaven opens a small window, a brief spiritual crack in the atmosphere, and only one person is allowed to see through it. That person is the one whose destiny is being rearranged by God. That person is the one carrying a calling that is too large for the ordinary world to recognize. And in this season, that person is you. What you witnessed was not random. The reason no one else around you noticed it is because it was not meant for them. Some people walk through life only seeing what is physical. They see what their eyes allow them to see, nothing more. But the chosen ones move differently. You possess spiritual eyes, and when God is preparing you for a radical shift, He sharpens those eyes so you can detect what others overlook. The sign you saw was a message sent straight into your spirit, bypassing the noise, bypassing the confusion, bypassing every attempt of darkness to distract you. You were the only one permitted to receive it. People have asked you before why you notice certain things that others ignore, why your spirit becomes alert at moments that seem normal to everyone else, why you sense danger before it arrives, or blessing before it manifests. The truth is simple. Spiritual sensitivity is the mark of selection. God trains the chosen ones like warriors, sharpening their awareness so they become familiar with the way heaven communicates. He does this so you cannot be deceived, so you cannot be misled, and so you cannot miss what is destined for you. When God gives you a sign, He does it intentionally. Not because He wants to scare you, not because He wants to confuse you, but because He wants to notify you. Your life is stepping into a new chapter. The sign you saw was a signal of elevation. It was heaven whispering, "Prepare yourself, something greater than you imagined is now unfolding." And God showed it only to you because not everyone around you has the spiritual authority to carry what is coming. Think about how many times you felt something shifting long before anything changed in the physical world. You sensed a transition in your spirit before your reality caught up. You felt a pull, a pressure, a heaviness, or even a sudden peace that didn't match your circumstances. These were not coincidences. These were early warnings, divine notifications, spiritual alerts from heaven reminding you that you are not walking a regular path. You walk a path designed, protected, and sustained by God Himself. Chosen one, the sign you saw recently, was more than a confirmation. It was a revelation of timing. God is lifting the veil from your destiny, allowing you to glimpse what is coming next. And the reason He allowed you to see it alone is because you are the only one prepared to handle it. Others around you might have dismissed it. They might have explained it away as nothing. They might have called it luck, illusion, or imagination, but your spirit knew instantly that it was divine. This is the difference between those who walk with God and those who do not. Your connection to the spiritual realm has been increasing. Your awareness has been sharpening. You have been feeling more separated from people, more distant from old habits, and more drawn toward quiet spaces. This is because God has been positioning you to receive something major, something that requires clarity, discipline, and spiritual maturity. He has been preparing your spirit to hear Him, not through loud thunder, but through subtle signs that only a chosen one can recognize. Many chosen ones go through seasons of isolation and misunderstanding. People question you. They doubt you. They misinterpret your intentions. They accuse you of being too sensitive, too intense, or too spiritual. But what they fail to understand is that your sensitivity is your gift. It is the key that unlocks revelations hidden from the ordinary. The very thing people mock is the same thing God uses to elevate you. The sign you saw was an indicator of divine approval. a confirmation that heaven has been watching your endurance. God saw the sacrifices you made, the storms you survived, the tears you cried, and the temptations you resisted. He saw everything you went through when no one else cared. And because of that, he chose to reveal something powerful to you, something that marks the end of one era and the beginning of another. This sign is tied directly to your destiny. It is connected to your calling, your purpose, and your future abundance. When God prepares to release a major blessing, he first sends a signal to the spirit of his chosen one. This signal is a divine heads up, telling you to align yourself with heaven's movement. It is heaven saying, stay alert, stay faithful, stay ready. You did not see that sign by accident. It was given to you because you have reached a point in your journey where things can no longer remain the same. You may have wondered why, out of all people, you were the one who noticed it. The answer is simple. Because God's eyes are on you. Because heaven has marked you for a destiny that cannot be stopped by human interference. Because your future requires a level of awareness that others around you do not yet have. And because God trusts your spirit with information that could overwhelm someone else. Chosen one, you are not imagining the shift. You are not exaggerating it. You are not overthinking it. There is a spiritual elevation happening inside you. And the sign you saw was the external proof of that internal transformation. God is preparing you to receive abundance, favor, influence, and opportunities that have been stored up for your appointed time. This was not just a sign. It was an announcement. Heaven opened its doors for a brief moment and allowed you to witness something sacred. It allowed you to glimpse the change that is coming. It allowed you to feel the vibration of divine movement long before it manifests physically. You were the only one who saw it because you were the only one chosen to receive it. This is the season where God separates his chosen ones from the crowd, where he reveals to you what he hides from others, where he shows you what he cannot show everyone else. And now that you have seen the sign, the next step is understanding what it means and why it appeared now. This is where your journey shifts. God's final decision, the shift in the heavenly realm. Chosen one, there comes a moment in every spiritually appointed life when heaven finishes its evaluation. A moment when God looks at everything you have endured, everything you survived, everything you resisted, everything you learned, and everything you became. And based on that full spiritual record, God makes a final ruling about the next season of your destiny. You are standing in that moment right now. The sign you saw was not simply a warning or a message. It was the evidence that heaven has reached a conclusion about you. A divine verdict has been made and it is in your favor. For months, maybe even years, your life has been judged not by your appearance or achievements, but by the purity of your heart, the intention behind your actions, the quiet sacrifices you made, and the integrity you kept when no one was watching. God has watched you walk through storms that could have destroyed others. He saw you when you were bruised but still believing. He saw you when you were isolated but still faithful. He saw you when you were misunderstood but still obedient. Every tear, every prayer, every spiritual battle, every moment you forced yourself to hope again, none of it was wasted. Everything was counted, measured, and carried into God's final decision. Heaven has now shifted. You may not feel it yet, but the spiritual realm around you has changed its alignment. Where there was delay, there is movement. Where there was resistance, there is permission. Where there was spiritual warfare, there is divine reinforcement. When God makes a final decision about a chosen one, every opposing force loses its authority at once. Darkness no longer has legal access to hinder your destiny. People who tried to block your path cannot stop what has been stamped by heaven. This is the season where God says, enough, release the blessing, release the elevation, release the abundance. You may have wondered why everything felt heavy in the past seasons, why you faced battles that made no sense, why you were pulled into conflicts you never asked for, why people targeted you without cause. The reason is simple. Before the final decision comes spiritual pressure. Before elevation comes spiritual evaluation. Before release comes resistance. You were in a divine trial, not for punishment, but for confirmation. God needed to see the strength of your spirit, not because he doubted you, but because he wanted the heavenly realm to witness your endurance. He wanted every spiritual power that came against you to observe that you remained faithful despite their attacks. Chosen one. This is why the shift happening now is so powerful. God has examined your season of suffering and has judged that you are ready for the next stage of your calling. He has weighed your character. He has tested your heart. He has observed your choices. You passed tests that you did not even know you were taking. You overcame giants you did not know were watching you. You survived spiritual traps set by people who thought you were weak. And now that your endurance has been witnessed, heaven has ruled in your favor. The final decision means your life can no longer remain in the old cycle. It means you are stepping into a time of divine acceleration. Opportunities that were blocked will suddenly open. Blessings that were delayed will begin to move quickly. Doors that were closed will unlock. People who did not notice you will suddenly become aware of your presence. Resources that were stuck will begin to flow. And all of this will happen because heaven approved your next level. When heaven shifts its decision, earth eventually adjusts itself to match. That is why your spirit has been sensing change before seeing change. That is why your atmosphere feels different. That is why you are no longer comfortable with the things that once satisfied you. Your spirit is adjusting to the elevation coming toward you. God has already sent the decree. Now creation is aligning to carry it out. Chosen one, let me tell you something only the spiritually awake will understand. Blessings do not appear randomly. Breakthrough is not an accident. Abundance does not fall out of the sky for no reason. There must be a divine ruling before there is a divine release. God must authorize what is meant for you before it manifests. And God has authorized something enormous for your life. He has approved a future that will shock the same people who doubted you. He has confirmed a destiny that will cancel every lie spoken over you. He has commanded restoration that will replace every loss you endured. The heavenly shift also means something else. Spiritual attacks against you will begin to expose themselves. People who pretended to love you will reveal their true intentions. Hidden enemies will be removed. Silent saboteurs will distance themselves because they can no longer access your energy. When God makes a final decision, He separates you from anyone who cannot go with you into the next dimension. This separation is not punishment, it is protection. Some people were allowed in your life only for the previous chapter. They cannot walk with you into the chapter where your blessing is waiting. Heaven's final decision also brings clarity. You will begin to understand why you face certain hardships. You will realize why certain relationships ended. You will see why God blocked you from certain paths. You will notice why doors you desperately wanted remain closed. He was not rejecting you. He was rerouting you. He was protecting you from smaller destinies that could not contain the greatness He planned for you. Now that the ruling has been made, clarity will come with speed. Chosen one, this is also the moment to listen carefully. What you saw recently was not only a sign of change, it was the announcement of your release. It was God revealing that the waiting period is ending. The silence is ending. The long nights are ending. You are entering a season where spiritual promises begin to take physical form. What was spoken to your spirit will begin to manifest around you. You are stepping into the timeline where God fulfills what He whispered. Before we move deeper, take a moment to respond in your spirit. If you feel heaven confirming this message to you, comment only one number that aligns with your inner knowing. 777, 333, 999, 666, or 444. Do not overthink it. Choose the number that pulls at your spirit. This is your spiritual agreement with the shift happening over your life. Now understand this. God's final decision is not just about blessing you financially. It is about repositioning you. When God makes a ruling, He redirects your steps without requiring your permission. He moves you into environments where your gifts can flourish. He opens paths that were hidden. He aligns you with people who carry kingdom purpose. He sets you in places where your presence creates impact. This is not random movement. This is divine orchestration. In this shift, your discernment will increase. Your intuition will sharpen. Your dreams will become clearer. Your spiritual senses will heighten. God is opening your inner eyes to navigate your new season. You cannot walk into abundance with the same mindset that carried you through survival. This shift upgrades your thinking, deepens your wisdom, and strengthens your spirit. Chosen one, heaven has declared that you are ready. Ready for elevation, ready for abundance, ready for influence, ready for impact, ready for opportunities that match your calling, ready for relationships that align with your purpose, ready for wealth that supports your divine assignment. You are not stepping into this season unprepared. God has been molding you for this moment quietly, patiently, intentionally. The shift in the heavenly realm is not temporary. It is permanent. It is sealed. It is final. And because of that, your life will not return to what it was. Your spirit cannot go backward. Your destiny cannot shrink. Your blessing cannot be reversed. When God makes a decision, it stands. When heaven approves your elevation, earth must bow to that ruling. Chosen one, the divine ruling has been made. Your time of scarcity is ending. Your season of delay is breaking. Your cycle of waiting is closing, and you are stepping into the phase where God releases what has been stored up for you. The next section will reveal why the blessing coming toward you is not small, not ordinary, and not temporary, but massive, abundant, and life-changing. Why the blessing is financial and why it's massive. Chosen one, you must understand something very important about how God rewards those he has tested, refined, and separated. When heaven prepares to elevate a chosen vessel, the blessing that comes is never small. It is never ordinary. It is never something that blends in with the world. The blessing is always disproportionate compared to the suffering you endured because God compensates in ways that humans cannot. And in your case, the blessing is not only spiritual, it is financial, and it is massive. Many chosen ones struggle for years without understanding why their life seems harder than everyone else's. Why resources slip away, why opportunities collapse, why money seems to evaporate the moment it arrives, why doors that should have opened for them remain locked. It is not because they are cursed. It is because God refuses to let worldly systems claim ownership over a chosen one's destiny. He allows temporary lack so that when abundance comes, there is no confusion about its source. You will know beyond doubt that your wealth came from a divine decree, not from human approval. Before a chosen one can receive great financial blessing, they must undergo spiritual conditioning. This conditioning looks like hardship, but in reality, it is training. God teaches you discipline through scarcity. He teaches you gratitude through emptiness. He teaches you wisdom through the mistakes you made in survival mode. He teaches you trust by stripping away every illusion of human support until you lean fully on Him. You are never being punished. You are being prepared. Think back to how many times you were close to breakthrough, only for it to slip from your hands. How often you felt like you were on the edge of success, but something unseen pushed you back. How many times the opportunities you earned suddenly vanished. These were not coincidences. God was preventing you from entering a level that was too small for the magnitude of the calling on your life. He knew that if you accepted lesser blessings, you would settle. And chosen ones do not settle. You were designed to influence nations, touch generations, and carry a mantle that requires extreme abundance. This is why the blessing coming is financial, because your calling is not cheap, your purpose is not small. Your assignment requires resources, reach, freedom, and influence. God does not elevate chosen ones so they can live quietly in the shadows. He elevates them so they can carry out kingdom work without restriction. And financial overflow is one of the main tools He uses to expand their impact. You were not chosen to live a limited life. You were chosen to demonstrate what happens when someone walks fully aligned with divine purpose. God wants your life to become a testimony that inspires other chosen ones to rise. He wants your breakthrough to encourage someone else to hold on. He wants your abundance to reveal His power, not your ability. That is why He withheld certain blessings until now, because you are not ready to hold them without losing yourself. Chosen one, the hardships you faced were not just personal, they were generational. You were carrying burdens that belonged to your bloodline. You were breaking cycles of poverty, lack, confusion, and limitation that existed long before you were born. Your struggle was heavy because it was never meant for one lifetime. It was meant for several. But God chose you to be the final one, to be the one who ends the cycle. And when someone is chosen to break generational poverty, the blessing that follows must be strong enough to reverse everything that came before it. That requires abundance, not survival. This is why the blessing coming is massive, because your story is not about a small improvement. It is about divine reversal. It is about transformation. It is about stepping into a level that was denied to everyone before you. When God selects someone to end a generational curse, He also selects them to begin a generational blessing. And blessings do not begin with scarcity. They begin with overflow. The wealth coming to you is not meant to spoil you. It is meant to strengthen you. It is meant to free you. It is meant to fund the purpose God placed in your spirit. The chosen ones who receive great financial blessing are the ones who pass the tests of integrity. They are the ones who proved they could be trusted with influence. They are the ones who remained humble even when stripped of everything. They are the ones who kept their heart clean in seasons of betrayal, heartbreak, and misjudgment. God allowed your financial difficulties because He wanted to examine your heart under pressure. He wanted to see if your character would bend, if your values would shift, if your spirit would become bitter. You surprised heaven. You impressed the angels. You resisted temptations that would have corrupted others. You refused to dim your light even when darkness surrounded you. You held on to your faith when it would have been easier to give up. That is why heaven has decided that your next blessing will not be small. You have earned a reward that is large, visible, undeniable, and transformative. The financial blessing coming to you is also tied to restoration. God is repaying you for every year that was stolen, every opportunity that was blocked, every resource that was taken unfairly, every moment you struggled while others prospered through manipulation or deception. God is a God of justice. When He restores, He does not return what was lost. He multiplies it, He increases it, He elevates it to a level that shocks even you. The blessing is massive because it must compensate for what you endured. It must lift you beyond where you would have been if your life had gone smoothly. It must position you in a realm where you can no longer be touched by the forces that once intimidated you. When God blesses chosen ones financially, He does it in a way that makes it clear the blessing cannot be reversed, sabotaged, or stolen. Chosen one. You must also understand that financial blessing is a form of authority. Money influences environments. It opens doors. It grants access. It increases your voice. God is elevating you so that your voice carries weight, so your presence shifts atmospheres, so your decisions affect generations. God is placing you in a position where you will no longer be controlled by systems, limited by people, or restricted by circumstances. You will operate from a place of abundance, not desperation. The blessing is also massive because it is multidimensional. It will not come from one source. It will come from multiple directions. Unexpected income, divine opportunities, strategic alignments, sudden approvals, business ideas that flourish, investments that grow, partnerships that elevate. You will see resources flow in ways that do not make sense in the natural realm. That is the evidence of divine orchestration. And here is a truth only chosen ones understand. When God decides to make someone financially abundant, it is not to make them comfortable. It is to make them impactful. You will fund what heaven supports. You will build what God instructs. You will create what blesses others. Your wealth will not be selfish wealth. It will be kingdom wealth. This is why the blessing has to be massive, because your purpose requires it, your calling requires it, your destiny requires it. And now that God has made His final decision, nothing can stop it. What you saw recently was the confirmation that heaven's treasury is opening on your behalf. The sign was the announcement. The blessing is the fulfillment. And when it arrives, it will be bigger than anything you imagined. The pathway to billionaire destiny. Chosen one, now that you understand why the blessing is financial and why it is massive, you must understand something even more important. God does not elevate a chosen one into billionaire-level destiny without first constructing the inner person capable of carrying it. Before wealth is released in the physical, strength is built in the spirit. Before resources appear, responsibility is formed. Before abundance surrounds you, maturity grows within you. This is why your journey has been nothing like the people around you. You are not just walking through life. You are being shaped for something monumental. Every challenge you endured was part of the refinement. Every betrayal was part of the strengthening. Every disappointment was part of the training. Billionaire destiny is not given to the fragile. It is entrusted to those who have been prepared in the fire. You are one of them. Chosen one, the first pathway to this destiny is internal transformation. God raises your character before He raises your finances. He expands your wisdom before He expands your bank account. He stabilizes your emotions before He stabilizes your environment. He shapes your priorities before He gives you greater power. Wealth without spiritual grounding becomes destruction, but wealth with divine foundation becomes generational transformation. You have been walking through years of spiritual construction, and most of it happened in silence, unseen by anybody but heaven. Think about how many times God forced you to pause when you wanted to move. How He stripped away distractions when you tried to hold on to them. How He separated you from people who were misaligned with your soul's direction. You did not understand those moments at the time. You may have felt abandoned, rejected, or confused, but God was clearing your atmosphere because an elevated destiny requires an elevated environment. The second pathway is spiritual discipline. God watched how you handled lack. He watched how you acted when no one believed in you. He watched how you responded when life pressured you from every direction. Many people collapse under pressure, but chosen ones become sharper. You developed endurance that money cannot buy. You developed patience that education cannot teach. You developed resilience that only warfare can create. These qualities are essential for managing wealth at a large scale. A billionaire destiny is not simply about possessing money. It is about possessing influence. It requires the ability to make decisions that affect more than yourself. It requires the maturity to stay stable when everything around you shifts. It requires the clarity to discern who is aligned with your purpose and who is trying to benefit from your elevation. God has already tested you in these areas. Every moment you felt unsupported, every time you had to stand alone, every situation that forced you to rely on God, these experiences trained you for leadership. Another important pathway is divine obedience. Chosen ones who enter extreme abundance are not those who chase money. They are those who chase God. You have made choices in your life that align you with heaven even when it cost you comfort. You chose morality when temptation offered shortcuts. You chose faith when logic said, give up. You chose truth when lies would have been easier. God watched it all. He saw your integrity when it was inconvenient.